Move on to the next page. Thank you. As we acknowledge YLI and the land that we are on, I have to acknowledge the beautiful, beautiful team that I am on. And your facilitators are Patty, Yami, Marcel, me, Yante, Elaine, Cody, and Fatima. Thank you all for working on this project and building it as beautifully as we did. Deep appreciations to you all. Before we move on to introductions, I wanted to make space for the Elevate Youth California team to come on and introduce themselves.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shira Murray, and I'll be representing the Elevate Youth team this morning. We are so happy that each of you are here, and thank you for opening us up with that beautiful acknowledgement. We appreciate it. As Elevate Youth partners across the state, we really want you all to immerse yourself into this training. And it is a 7-part series. And so today is just the first of several trainings. And then also keep in mind that there will be an opportunity for one-on-one technical assistance and also small group technical assistance. So if there are topics that really stand out to you, we want you to just jot those down and then take advantage of those opportunities to work with this team more closely. Again, we thank you for being a part of this training. We want to remind you that this training is being recorded, that the recordings will be available to you in upcoming weeks. And then also, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. And I think that there will be opportunities for you all to speak. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to the YLI team. And again, we thank you for being here. And we appreciate each and every one of you and the work that you all continue to do. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, UIC team. Deeply appreciative. Yes. So now we are going to move over to an introduction, which y'all are beautifully putting into the chat. So in the chat, could you please put your name, the pronouns that you use to address yourself or that other people use to address you, the org you are representing, and one word that best describes you. We got someone in the chat that's like weird. Same. Mine would be anxious. Make some room for introductions in the chat. Also, I made a mistake, y'all. So it's one word, your bestie, that best homie of yours that would describe you. So not the way that you describe yourself, but your bestie, your best homie. Quiet, outgoing, beautiful, y'all. Thank y'all. You can keep putting them in the chat. Quiet, confidant, enthusiastic, sassy, okay, loving, funny. All right. Beautifully done, y'all. And y'all can keep putting them in the chat as we go on, because folks want to know your name, folks want to know your pronouns, folks want to know that what your bestie calls you, all of it. So we welcome you to do that. All right. I'm going to move over to our community agreements. Thank you. Before we move on to our community agreements, I do want to give us a rundown of the quick Zoom functions and review some of our goals and hopes. So Zoom functions, please, if when you see fit, please do turn your cameras on or leave them off, whatever feels best for you. We do love seeing your lovely faces, but it's cool. Please put yourself on mute if you are not speaking, because we don't want to hear any feedback or catch anything in the background. Chat functions, we will ask you to use your chat functions like your thumbs up raise your hand if you have any questions. And your reaction function is like your thumbs up. So we'll be asking you to use your thumbs up, thumbs down, and any other functions you want to use in the chat or throw up on your screen. All right. Some of the goals that we have for today is learn the power of youth leadership and advocacy, explore the qualities and skills of an effective leader, learn about your own leadership style through YLI's True Colors Leadership Assessment, explore the leadership styles of your team and your group. So to do those and make sure those goals are super obtained and are super obtainable, we have set some community agreements. And our community agreements are just guidelines that we use in space with one another to keep us safe, comfortable, and accessible to one another. So our community agreements are take care of yourself, mute when you are not speaking, embrace the awkwardness, it's okay, be present to listen and to learn, take space, make space, and have fun. All in all, we want this to be an engaging training. We want you all to be present. We want you all to have fun with us. We are pretty lively facilitators. We want to keep it that way, and we go off your energy, or at least I do. All right. Yes, so these were the goals I was talking about. On our screen, right? Learn from the power of youth leadership and advocacy, explore the qualities and skills of effective leader, learn about your own leadership skills through True Colors, and explore leadership styles from your team and your group. So our hopes for you is to learn aspects of leadership to support youth growing into strong leaders in your community, to learn about the importance of leadership and advocacy, to learn how to empower youth to remain active in their communities, to so sustain that power that they have, to understand the different styles of youth leadership practices and modules. And now I'm going to pass it to Monse.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Monse. I'm here with YLI. Really excited to be leading you all in this energizing community builder. And just like Yante did, just want to take a moment to really acknowledge you all being here and just taking the time to be with us. We hope that this is fun. We hope that this is something that also aligns with a lot of the work that you all do in making sure that you elevate young people. And that name is very, very fitting in all the work that you all do in all different aspects. And with that, just want to go over, hey, Matthew, shout out to you. And elevate in the Jamboard. If you're not familiar with that function that we use here, just want to outline, you have a chance to be able to add a post, click on and add an image, if you will, which is going to be really important for our community builder, and add a text box, any wording, because our energizing community builder, we could go to the next slide, Cody, is going to be adding to the Jamboard. So you'll see the link right there in our chat that Elaine added. And we're just asking you all, like, what words or images come to mind when you hear the words youth power? And you can just drop a Post-it note or an image or any words. The possibilities with this group specifically are definitely endless. So we want to let your creativity shine and give you all maybe 3 to 4 minutes to just right in there, and I'll bring you all back when we see those responses pop up. And you have the first 10 slides, so not all of you have to be on the first one. Like you can see, there's repetitions of it if you go a little bit down the slide, so that you all have a chance to provide your input there. Awesome, thank you. We're already seeing some responses there. Awesome. If there's not enough room in that slide, remember there's more down the line. hang there. If you are not able to use the Jamboard, feel free to put it up here on the chat so that we can see your answers as well. So thank you for proactively doing that. And you have like 1 more minute to fill those in. Thank you so much for doing that. And I'm gonna be asking for volunteers. If already one or two of you are ready to share and just give us a little background to why you put what you put in the Jamboard, we would love to hear it. So if you wanna prepare for that, we would love to hear it. Just a little bit more. All right, I think that it's starting to slow down a little bit. Look at this Jamboard. Like, this already looks so amazing here. And we're actually doing really well on time here. So I'm gonna ask if there's 3 to 4 people that just wanna come off mute, say their names. We can hear your voice and just tell us what your word is. And a little bit of background as to why you chose that. Is there someone in here that wants to share out with us?
Yeah, I could share real quick. Matt here with Kaya and the California Youth Empowerment Network, and I chose the word vibrant. I feel like working with youth, things are always so creative and colorful and just like innovative, and vibrant's like the word that just came to my mind.
Thank you, Matt. Good to hear your voice too.
Yes, good to see you here.
All right. Anyone else? 2 more folks. There's so many of us here.
Sure. My name is Arthur. I'm with Truro University Elevate Youth. And I kind of cheated. I hope you don't mind. I used 2 words, change the world. Because in reality, the youth are going to be the future and they're going to determine the path of the world. So we want to make sure that they have the proper preparation, direction, etc. to do that.
Thank you, Arthur. We will allow that just for this one time. So thank you so much. Somebody else that wants to share.
I'm Josue. I'm from Tekio of MyCop. And I used the image of the 1968 walkouts in East LA. And the word I used was initiative, just because working with youth, it's very evident that they do take the initiative and they organize their own movements.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josue. All right, one more. That person that was just about to go and unmute themselves. I see you. I feel you.
Good morning. I'm Cynthia Martinez from Alliance for Community Empowerment in Los Angeles. And the word I used was resilience, because our youth have so many struggles, and through all their struggles, they are resilient. And I think that is what drives them to make change in their communities. And so that's the word I chose.
Thank you, Cynthia. All right, I keep on saying this, but one more. One more here, and then we'll pass it on to our next section.
Jump in. My name is Michelle Monterosa. I'm the Youth Engagement Leadership Coordinator for the Gathering for Justice. And I put powerful because at the end of the day, our youth are powerful, and many go through many things in life. And at the end of the day, they're still powerful and showing up.
Yes, that's a perfect segue. Thank you all so much for providing us with this visual, for participating, for hearing your voices, and just getting really the tone of this is about young people and bringing in youth leadership. And I think that all together collectively we can do a lot to make sure that young people are not only centered in the conversation, but really share power with our adult allies, whether that's decision makers or ourselves as adult allies that work with them on the daily. So appreciate you all, and I'm gonna pass it back to Yante to lead us in more youth power activities.
Beautiful, thank you, Monte. Yes, y'all are hitting this right on the head, right? Young folks are everything and more that we put in the chat, everything and more that we put on the Jamboard. And their power is an active resistance, right? Like they are the ones that move and will change and shake all the things that need to be shaken up. It's young people. So we want to dive into young folks' power by doing a youth power poll. So I'm going to ask you all to use your reactions on the bottom right side of your screen. We are going to use our thumbs up, like so on my screen, bam, or a thumbs down, which you can find in like the little search bar. So I'm going to ask you three questions, and you are going to use the thumbs up if you agree, or use the thumbs down if you disagree. Does that sound cool? Can everybody put a thumbs up? You're like, yes, we got it. We know the instructions and we found our symbol. Bam. Bam, bam, bam. Beautiful, y'all. Perfect. So we're going to jump right in. Our first question is, youth have all the power they need in society. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Youth have all the power they need in society. We got some thumbs up, got some thumbs up, got some thumbs down. Got some thumbs down. Would anybody like to come off of mute and kind of like discuss why they got that answer? Why they're like, yes, I agree, or no, I disagree.
Hi, I'm Debbie Matthews with North San Diego County NAACP Youth and District Community Center Partners in the Elevate Youth Program. I work with youth quite a bit, and I believe that from my experiences, the youth don't have the voice. We're still working on that in the society, because adults always want to override the youth voices and make the decisions for them or dictate to them, and are not allowing them an opportunity to exercise their voices as much as they should be. And I think if we heard from youth more, we'd be in a better place in society today.
Yes, Deborah. Young folks have a barrier, and the barrier is adults, right? Adults won't move out of the way. Adults won't share power, right? And young people can't get any power if adults are not sharing, if adults are not willing to step over. Beautiful, and thank you for adding that. Would anybody else like to answer how they got their answer? I know I saw hands up. Did anybody agree? I saw so many agree thumbs up.
Hi, this is Cynthia Martinez again. I agreed because I think all youth have the power, and kind of how Debbie was sharing, it's the alliance with adults that can support what they want to do, and not just support, but also teach them, show them the way, support their work by, teaching them how to fish and how to strive and work towards that advocacy for their peers. So I think they have the power. We have to encourage that and support it.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that in, right? And a big part of like teaching young people is also being open to being taught by young people, right? Understanding that youth power is letting young people facilitate, be in spaces with adults, and be the leader in that space, right? All of those things. Thank you for adding that. Perfect. We are going to move on to our next poll question. So thank you, Cody. Our next question is, youth do not have enough life experience to make informed decisions. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Youth do not have life experience to make informed decisions. Yes, I'm seeing thumbs down. Anyone else? Yes. There's questions that say, what if it depends on the youth in questions? Great question, right? But all life experiences that young people have, all things that they learn from other people, from the adults in their lives, does make a difference. My thumb is in the middle. And I want to hear all of these, right? So if you're like willing to come off mute, this is the time. If you're like, I'm in the middle and I don't know, we want to talk about it.
I think my thumb's in the middle
Mhm.
because when it comes to certain like decisions, I don't feel like youth are experienced in certain areas. Yes, but that's even for adults too. So I guess it would depend on what the decision, what exact decision would we be discussing?
Yes.
Yes. I've also seen in many cases, with adults as well, by the way, but in many cases, there's kind of this truth by consensus. If everybody hears the same thing, then they assume that it must be true, even though it may not be something that is either true or something that is healthy, I guess. Having been a health educator for so long, you hear that a lot, especially when it comes to things that, are risky. And a lot of youth base their decisions on, what the consensus is around that versus what the evidence is on that. Adults too, by the way, but just saying.
Mhm. Thank you for that. Albert, I see your hand up, and Marcus, I see your hand up now.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I think life experience is only part of the equation. It also comes down to what are we collectively doing to build capacity, to build awareness, and really base decisions on, what they're experiencing, but also on what they're seeing in their community. So I think life experience is important, but we need to take a step back. And this is true for adults as well. It's what are we doing to build our collective capacity, our collective knowledge, and really basing decisions on that. So I think it's a pretty profound question, but definitely a good topic of discussion. So that's kind of where I'm at. I do think that, remember, we are having to address the issues that they see in the world around them. So I think that's an important piece. And then the follow-up would be then how do we then build our collective capacity? So just a thought.
Yes, thank you, Albert. Right, it sounds like when we have that adult allyship, when we're teaching and filling those young people with the information that we know, they can make those informed decisions, right? Because we have already done the things. We already know what comes next, or we think we do as adults, right? We think we already know what comes next. And this is where we have to partner with young people and are like, okay, this was a great decision. Let's guide it. What else? How else do we fit all the things in here, right?
I mean, because they can say that about us.
And they do, right? And they do. It's true. It's true. And we've named it, right? Adults do the same thing. It isn't actually about young people and adults being on these separate binary sides, because it doesn't actually even work like that, right? And Albert, I see your hand, and Sam, I see your hand.
No. I'm gonna lower it. I'm sorry. Let me lower it. Sorry.
I'll go next. I definitely want to echo everything that Albert has mentioned. But also, earlier, someone mentioned that youth are resilient too. So with all the decisions that, folks make when they are young, it does echo later on in their life as well. Think about, parents that are 16, things like that. A lot of societal norms will tell us that, oh, they're going to fail, that nothing's going to come from their life if they have a young child, whether it was planned or whether it was not. But, we see now the adults who have young children that are like half their age, and, they're living very fulfilling lives. And so yes, and to echo as well too, it depends. It's like how they say, like, it takes a village to raise a child. So depending on the adult allies, depending on the motives and supports that somebody does have as a young person, that will definitely change, the course of action in the future as well too.
Yes. Thank you for that. Sam, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I do agree that it definitely depends, but I still voted with the thumbs up, because I think a lot of it is like on how you interpret the question. I mean, the way I interpret it is like, can they make like any informed decisions? So I definitely say yes. Like, obviously they can't make informed decisions on everything, but I mean, that's the case for literally everybody. Like, there's so many different experiences that everyone can go through. just on how much can happen in life. And so it's like, I mean, I know I've gone through stuff that people a lot older than me have never been through, but at the same time, there's kids a lot younger than me that have gone through stuff that I will never go through. So, of course, there's always situations where they won't be able to make informed decisions, but I think that's the same for literally any of us. So, the fact that, yeah, they can make informed decisions about anything, like still a good amount of stuff like that. That's why I voted agree personally.
Sam, thank you. You were like benefit of the doubt. Young people got it. And that's cool too, right? Like, and you're not wrong. They have lived in those bodies, in those experiences, and they're real for them, right? And then Cynthia, Cynthia, I think I saw your hand. Okay.
Yes, I just want to echo what Sam was mentioning. I think we see it time and time again, even with the female reproductive system, right? It's decisions being made by those who might not have experienced or have that lived experience. So I do think that it doesn't mean that they make the large, there is a lot of knowledge to be gained for them to make informed decisions, but their life experience, that is volume, that is a voice, and that is a huge part of making a decision as youth leadership. So I think, of course, we're there to guide and to continue to educate them on how, when, and what to do about their, when a decision like that comes up. But lived experience is huge, and we see it time and time again in different movements for all different groups. So, yeah, I definitely agree.
Beautiful job. Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate all of your comments and all of your thumbs up and thumbs down. We are going to move on to our last youth power poll question. And it is, youth voice is powerful. Youth voice is powerful. Agree, hard agree. Thanks, Rebecca. Yes, thumbs up, see some thumbs up. Beautiful job, y'all. Many thumbs up. Would anybody like to tell us why? How'd you come up with that answer?
Hi, my name is Liz. I said I agree with this 100%. Just because I believe that, I know in the previous that we had, we were doing that board, a lot of it said, I know I put they are the future. And, with their voices, they are able to change a lot. Even now with this newer generation and, technology, it just allows to spread the what they're fighting for even more and faster. So I just think they're just really strong, and their voices are very powerful, and they're the future. They're changing it for what's their future. So yeah.
Thank you. Mic drop, Liz, right? That was it, Val. Yes, thank you for that. I appreciate all of your answers so much. I appreciate it. Y'all using the reactions and the ways that y'all did. Thank y'all for going through this youth power poll with me. All in all, we know that young people have the power to move, shake, and shift. All in all, we know that our jobs as the adults in the room, adults in the space, and on the planet is to help, to guide, to shift with them, right? So beautiful job, y'all. We are now going to lead you all into a 5-minute break. And please get water, please get comfy, do what you need. And we will see you all back at 10:45. Yes, it is 10:45. I hope you got some water. Hope you're settling in, feeling a little better, moved around a little bit if you were able. All right, we are going to jump back in. Thank you. We're going to jump back into talking about youth power, youth shaking, changing. and youth leadership. So we know, fact, right, proven, for all the work that we do and all the work that young people do, that young people bring positive, meaningful change to their communities. They change and shift, and when they do, it impacts our communities greatly and to our benefit. Youth voice is powerful. We had a resounding yes, 110%, absolutely. It's a fact that this is true, right? Young people continue to be powerhouses. We can move to the next slide. They are powerhouses because young people continue to be at the front of every movement for justice and equity, all of them, right? From BLM movements to disability justice, they are at the forefront. They are experts of their communities. They've lived there, they know what's going on. They do not walk in the shadows of adults. They have their own experiences and lives, right? And young people also have creative ideas and solutions. They know how to fix a problem and get there creatively, without the bogged down, and with imagination, right? And it is needed. But this was not always a believed idea. Young folks for a really long time were processed into their school systems and were other spaces that young people were predominantly at. And in 1990, Karen Pittman, who was an advocate, super dope advocate for young people, changed that idea from preventive and fixing youth and their behaviors to coining the phrase, problem-free isn't fully prepared. Pittman led the change and shift for youth and preventing and fixing behaviors where we didn't have to sit there and put them and punish young people for the behaviors that were happening in classrooms. We gave them autonomy, and we're understanding that young people have those creatives and ideas and solutions. And to do that, it doesn't work to shift all problem children into one classroom and go, well, we don't know what, right? Karen Pittman instead wanted us to believe in young people, believe in the attributes and skills that they had in order for them to get the power that they needed. So as we talk about like youth engagement and we talk about youth power, we have to engage young people. We have to step into the spaces that they are already in. They are already wanting to shift and change, and engage them, engage the power that they have that maybe isn't being provoked, that maybe isn't being facilitated in the ways that is needed. All right, we can change to the next page. So this youth engagement continuum helps us understand that we don't have to view youth as clients, and they need help addressing their needs. It is critical. And we ensure that we can view our work across this continuum as we grow youth leadership and youth power. So if you look at this continuum, we have youth service as an individual, and this is the young people as clients. Their actions are provide service to address individual problems and behaviors, but we want to be on this other side of the continuum where we get youth into organizing. And everything in the middle is our help, right? Young folks need that youth development. Young folks need leadership development. They need civic engagement development. All of that comes from the help of adult allies. All of that comes from the help of other young people. And so to move this continuum, to keep making systematic change, we have to move young folks from being just clients into being actual power changers, movement shakers, right? So youth voice and intentional efforts to invite, support, and amplify the perspective of young people has been the focus of many remarkable learning network members. So we ask this question like, what is youth power? And we can move on to the next slide. What is youth power? We talked about youth engagement and the youth engagement continuum. What actually are we trying to instill into young people? What can they do, right? Youth power is the ability for young people to directly influence and have authority over their lives and circumstances. It is a natural evolution of youth voice. So youth voice equals youth power. Once that youth voice is continued to be filled into, poured into by adult allies, by young people, by the community, it moves on to youth power. When young people and their adult allies work together, magic happens to our communities and to move our communities forward. All right, and so now I'm going to pass it on to Monse to talk about some of those skills and qualities of youth power and youth leaders.
Thank you, Yante. That continuum spectrum is always one of my favorites because I think it really puts the picture as to like, how can we all work together and we all have a role, whether you're a provider, whether you are working on civic engagement, whether you're working with young people to organize. We all really need each other to make sure that at the center of it all, we are supporting their leadership and making sure that they walk away with transferable skills. So that's what this section is about. Like, what are those skills and qualities of leaders? And that we have a responsibility to really expand the definition of leadership for young people, especially as they're developing, especially as they enter different leadership opportunities as with us, or, you know, with other organizations or other parts of their lives. So if we could go to the next slide. So we want to ask, you know, what makes someone a leader? You know, we have creativity, strength, courage. Those are just adjectives that we would describe some of the young leaders that we're seeing as part of our generations, and really qualities that are transcendent all over our young people, whether it has been in the 60s or in the 70s, in the 90s, of many examples of different youth power opportunities where young people have led. And these are just some examples here of what we are, what we think of when we hear the word leadership, especially with young people. You could go to the next slide. So here are some qualities, you know, just some, they could be strategic or empathetic, be energetic, optimistic, compassionate, you know, really understanding and being empathetic toward the world that we're living in and wanting to do something about it and wanting to challenge those qualities. And skills, we're talking about, like, if you're a writer or a poet, like, those are skills that you utilize in any movement, and that a lot of our writers and arts folks have really been able to, and artists really have held a lot of the weight of making us really visualize what the future looks like. Community organizing, you know, that's definitely a skill. Like, it takes a skill to bring people together, to energize people, to provide hope for young people and their adult allies. Public speaking, I think, is something that seems really simple, but can be really anxiety inducing for our young people. And a lot of the times we see, like, oh, we're the first ones that were supporting them and giving a public comment, for example, the first time that they're being in front of a podium and really exercising that voice in a decision-making setting, which becomes a skill that they utilize, you know, for the rest of their lives. Takes action and is a good listener. Like, all of these skills are really, really important. Can we go to the next slide? So now we want to ask you, what are some of the skills and qualities of leaders? And we want you to use the link in the chat that, and yes, thank you, Patty. You know, this is not an all-inclusive list by all means. These are just some examples. So we're going to go to a Mentimeter. This is another tool. If you haven't been able to use it before, it's a really awesome visual to help just visualize in a word cloud all of your responses. So I'm going to give everyone a chance to click on the link, and then it'll give you an option to give up to 3 different skills and qualities of leaders. So take a moment to do that. And if you're unable to access the Mentimeter link, feel free to share it through the chat as well. And now we're going to see the actual word cloud come to life and see what are you all thinking. Mhm. Some consistent, initiator driven, understanding, encouraging. And this word cloud will populate based on the most frequent responses. So a lot of you are answering encouraging. As you see it in the center, understanding, empathetic, a risk taker, humor. Do not underestimate humor in the movement here. We need that. Brave, definitely. Driven. Problem solvers, honest, safe, and fair in the chat too. Empathetic is really at the center here. Passionate, dependable. Fair. Give it 10 more seconds here, still moving. Passionate. Non-Western. Yeah, non-traditional. Healthy boundaries, I see. Empowering, brave. Yeah, I see it stop a little. So just take a moment to acknowledge this word cloud. This is also something that we can share with you all. And really you can see listening, driven, encouraging, empathetic, understanding, great listener, and brave and passionate are really some of the ones that are popping out in terms of what are qualities and skills of leaders here. All right, take like one more second to take this in here, and we're gonna go on to our next Mentimeter. And now we want to ask you, what are your skills and qualities based on your own leadership and the way that you see yourself in working with young people? What are the skills and qualities that you bring to our space today? And the Mentimeter is on the chat, so go ahead and click on that and take a moment to share that with us. Accommodating. Open-mindedness. And after this, I'm also going to ask if one or two folks want to share their qualities and skills that they put up there, just to give us some context as to what you're sharing. So just be prepared in case you want to be the one to unmute and share with us. In about a minute or so, folks are populating this Mentimeter. Understanding, compassionate. Energetic and calm. I love everything is in here. I see reflective, vision, grounded. Observer. Flexible. True-hearted. All right, it seems like it's slowing down. I'm gonna remix my initial question actually, and just ask folks like if you're willing to share some of your qualities and skills, but maybe give us a story, a quick what does it look like to be understanding? What does it look like to be compassionate for me and my leadership? And so that we can hear from folks as to what does leadership really look like on the ground. and go from there. So is there anybody that is willing to share here?
I want to clarify, I know there was a hand up, sorry about that.
Okay. Mhm.
Some of your qualities and skills as a leader or as a mentee? Was it the leader one?
As a leader, yes.
Okay, okay.
It could be mentee though. Being a mentor is a leadership quality as well.
I would just say quality and skill is through lived experience, since I am up there in age, of seeing even when been in work situations, even when there's people who are like me, who are in positions of power, who still perpetrated the same system of power from like a westernized model of kind of berating and treating employees lower than instead of empowering them. And unfortunately, that ironically is that sometimes it comes from other people of color who are in positions, even female women of color who are treating other men of color in a bad way, berating and not empowering. So that's something I think. So a skill I would say is certainly compassion and humility. Using your skills, empathy. I think empathy is huge, putting yourself in the shoe of being someone who has worked in different agencies and what it was like. How would you like to be made feel? How do you want to feel empowered? How do you want to be lifted up in a good way?
Thank you, Vincent. And I think you really uplifted reflection and the importance of pause and rethinking and reshifting, what is going on in this situation and what's my role in making something different. Appreciate you sharing. And James, I see your hand up. You want to share?
Yeah, sure. I think this is such a great exercise, and I really liked what I missed his name, the gentleman before just said. And I think, I go into these situations or go into discussions or go into meetings with youth or anyone, with the mindset of like, I don't know everything and I have no ego. So, I'm not married to what my opinion might be. I'd said things like intuitive and compassionate and vision, and I go into a situation knowing what I think, but that's not written in stone, because until I engage with someone else or hear what someone else is thinking or wanting or needing out of a situation, it's not the full equation until that other item is in the equation. It's, with my opinion, it's only half of the equation, and it doesn't mean diddly until I hear what all the other components are of that equation. And then, the sum can be completely different than what I was sort of putting into it. So, I think there's a big piece of people coming into these things with ego and thinking, youth and, the sort of like hierarchical crap that we need to like sort of check when working with and for young people or anyone. So anyway, I think this is such a great exercise. So thank you.
Appreciate you sharing, James. And I see your hand, and forgive me if I missay your name. Heng Sophia?
Yeah, yes, you said correctly. Thank you. Before I go to answer that, I think, that I agree. That's a really great exercise. But working with youth have shown us a lot of things that the youth themselves going through in their home, in their life. So we always be open-minded and be optimistic to them whenever we talk with them and say anything to them. But we always say that the leadership is the choice that you made. So skill and qualification, it's come after that choice. So and we explain the difference between the position that you hold or the title that you hold or you want to be, and also the importance of leadership. And sometimes you hold a very small position, but the choice that you made that you want to be a leader in that group, that makes you different. So those are the thing that we always focus and come up so that, you know, the compassion, the being positive, and also willing to taking care one another. And I just want to share one more thing that after we working with the youth, we recognize that we sometimes you know, like not pay attention much on the thing that they inside the home, and for some reason we assume it, or we you know, like make prejudgment when we sharing things to them. For example, about time, you know, why they always come late, and they not show up on time. They not show up someday. You know, sometimes they just say they feel not feeling well and stuff like that. So there's things that in between the communication and also their commitment related to their life as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you just modeled being compassionate and understanding. Like, we have to look at the young person as all the things that they come with as well. Like, they're here to show up for a project, but they also have something else going on at home, and we have to make space to acknowledge that. Thank you for sharing. And Gloria, I see your hand up.
Yes. Some of the qualities that I was looking at was empowering, open-minded, passionate, and supportive. What happened a couple of weeks ago, one of the young ladies that was in our program, she's at Clark University in Atlanta, and she showed up. And for the summer, she's doing a conference, I Am Her, and the name of her organization is Cool As Black Women. And, you know, I could have been judgmental about the name and not wanted to participate, but she really didn't even, she was just sharing it with me. So I decided that this would be an event that we would sponsor. And the name of the conference is I Am Her Conference. And it just goes to show the leadership skills that this young lady possess. And I was glad that I was able to be open-minded and supportive and help her with the conference.
Yeah, thank you, Gloria, for modeling that it's not about me, it's about what the young person wants. And like, if they want to see this vision come through, like, my role is to make sure that they have everything that they need to make it happen. And that goes a long way for young people, because we just don't see a lot of that. So thank you all for sharing. And now we're going to move into a couple examples of youth leadership in action. And like, what is this looking like? You know, we have a couple of videos for you all so that you get a little bit of break from our voices and hear from the young people themselves. And then I'm going to ask you all, like, what are your examples of youth leadership? And we'll have a chance to share that with each other. If you're already not familiar with what you're all kind of working for, and what kind of youth leadership projects are you all doing? So next slide, please. And just want to give a quick kind of like definition of what we're working with in terms of like, what do we mean by youth-led policy and advocacy? Especially in action, it looks like youth working in partnership with decision makers to change community conditions. That may be changing access to substance use, or changing access to substance use prevention or treatment, or just like reducing that access in the community. It could be changing policies. It could be changing social norms. You know, we grow up with either social or cultural norms in our community, and we have an opportunity to change those, and we consider that advocacy and policy change as well. Or changing messages. Like, there's so many ways that our young people are getting messages, not just through print, but through audio, through now social media. That's a big thing. So we have a responsibility to change those in the name of increasing overall health outcomes, which has been evidence-based processes that really do change community conditions that lead to better health outcomes for us all. So with that, we'll share the first video, which is an example on student advocates that proposed a policy to implement restorative justice in Madeira. So let's hear it.
I think a lot of times adults want to care what teenagers have to say, but there's that lens where like she's just a teenager. I needed to be able to conduct myself in a way that is professional and in a way that I can get my message across.
Implementing the YLI Student Advocacy Councils has been one of the more seamless experiences with something so innovative. I think the reason for that comes down to the professionalism of the YLI staff. They really know their craft. They know how to develop really high quality relationships with kids and develop a sense of safety and a sense of organization that is really unmatched. And I really appreciated how quickly the YLI staff really found a way to fit into the school culture.
Student advocacy councils are classes here that we implement a YLI curriculum to really get a chance to go deeper with students on these issues of social justice, of community building, of team building, providing safety on a daily basis.
I think one thing that you need to know if you're going to join the Student Advocacy Council is that your opinions are going to be heard. I think you're going to be open to new experiences and you're just going to hear from so many other people that you're going to come out with a different mindset. I think that Ms. Hamlin always says she's not trying to change our beliefs and our morals. She's just trying to show us that there are other morals and beliefs besides ours.
This has become my passion. This is definitely what I want to do with the rest of my teaching career. The way students are completely changed by this class and become so involved and engaged and compassionate about their communities.
During my time in the SAC, we were able to propose a policy change to the superintendent to implement restorative justice circles as a way to resolve conflict district-wide.
I would tell any superintendent or school board member here in the San Joaquin Valley that the gold standard for student voice is going to come through a partnership with YLI.
From a show using your emoji reactions, how many of us here are working on a restorative justice project or reducing criminalization in schools or anything around that specific project area? Awesome, see some thumbs up here. Also yourselves, take a look around in the names and see who's showing up and who's working on this throughout California. Awesome, thank you all so much for sharing that. And yeah, this is just one example of that. And we'll go to our next example, which is another video of young people working in throughout California to create room for youth voice. And shout out to Matt if he's still in the room. This is one of the projects that they were part of as part of the Mental Health Services and Oversight Advisory Commission. Ready, Cody.
So today we are holding our first ever Innovation Idea Lab.
We are gathering youth from around the state to talk about mental health.
It's really important to have that youth perspective.
We created a regional idea lab that brought youth to the table with different decision makers in their counties that they usually don't get to talk to.
When it comes to designing systems for youth and providing services to youth around their mental health, it really only makes sense to make sure that youth are at the table. These services and the systems that are providing them are informed by the youth that are receiving them.
And we cannot be talking about well-being of young people without young people at the table. So much of the systems that we create do not include them in the decision-making process.
What we're doing is trying to start a movement where youth are brought to the table and they can tell their ideas and give their stories as to what works for them or what they would like to see. Rather than having adults tell us, this is what you need, this is what you want. So we really get an opinion.
Nothing about us without us. And I feel honored to be a part of the commission of allowing these 150 youth to have a seat at that table that they're making.
To kind of think through, how can we build these innovative solutions in our own counties? How can we envision these next steps, right? Who can partner with us in this? And really showing youth that whatever they imagine and what they feel they need, it's 100% possible and more.
Young people are already the experts in their community. Young people are already the ones that are leading change in their communities. And it's really a space that pushes and challenges, in this case, young people and their adult allies, to think of innovative ways to address increasing or improving preventative mental health resources in schools.
It's so important that youth who are receiving services that are meant for youth should be part of the development of those services.
It's been a privilege to be on this journey with the Youth Innovation Planning Project Committee. I am so hopeful about the future because of them, because they are focused on busting the stigma about mental health issues, and they've achieved a lot in this committee, and I'm so honored to have been on the journey with them.
Not only is it possible, but it's preferential. It's what we should be doing. It is the best practice, and we will get farther and further. It will be more effective if we continue in this way.
Thanks, Cody. That video is at UCSB. Yes, confirming that for sure. I forgot the name of the Multicultural, I think, Community Center. That's where this took place. But yeah, here again, and with the use of your emojis, a heart emoji, a thumbs emoji, whatever you want to use. Who in here is working on a project that increases youth voice, that increases youth leadership, that really centers young people in working with adult allies to make more room for young people? So I'm seeing lots of little hearts. Thank you. Awesome. And our last example here is in 2019, young people in Fresno, California advocated for what is now called the Responsible Neighborhood Market Ordinance. And this was almost a decade in the making for our young people in Fresno that had been working to really on many different substance use prevention efforts, but this one, it really culminated into this policy that which passed in a unanimous vote that put a cap on the number of liquor licenses that can be distributed in Fresno. And this one is really important to us as folks that work in prevention as well, because even in Fresno, it was a whole lot more meaningful for them because, Fresno has been deemed as like one of the drunkest cities, and young people took it upon themselves to do something about it. And especially this policy is around land use and like the literal land that we are all at, that we acknowledge in the beginning that we're in, it can be used for many different purposes. And they chose to really go that route of like, if we're going to be in this community for a long time, we wanted to have less access to these substances in order for us to make the informed decision of making the healthy choice the easy choice. And I think that this policy is really making this happen. And it also established a 1,000-foot perimeter around spaces frequently used by young people, like parks, community centers, schools, which is another way that they really, really made sure that communities most affected, like low-income neighborhoods, that had higher concentrations of liquor stores, were really are going to be impacted over time. So I get really excited when I hear about that one, and it's something that we hope to see in many more cities to be able to continue our substance use prevention work. And just lastly here, who in this group here is working on anything related to substance use prevention, to reducing access to substances? Awesome, we see the little thumbs, hearts. Yeah. Adan, did you want to say something, or you were just, we are working on one? I'll take it as we are working on one. All right, next slide, please. Now we want to hear from you. We want you all to share your example of youth leadership in your community. We're going to utilize the same Jamboard that Elaine has shared in the chat. And if you go down a couple of slides from the initial activity that we did, we're just going to give you all like 2-3 minutes to put in there your example, take a look at it, and then I'm going to ask for 1 or 2 folks if they can share with us what their example is. Sound good? I think that's about 1 song, Yante, so maybe you can help us with putting that in there. And let me know if the directions are not clear. feel free to add the name of your org and example of the youth leadership if you want to add that to your post-it note. And there's a couple more pages too if you wanna, if you feel like there's not enough room for you there. There are more pages if you keep on going. All right, so thank you all so much for sharing there. Just gonna ask if there's one or two folks that wanna give us a description of what they're doing and how they're working with their young people in their respective areas.
Are we supposed to be just verbally stating it or putting it in the chat?
You could have put it on the chat or you could have put it on the Jamboard, but we're also here to hear it if you want to share just what your project is about.
Okay, I'll just say our project is we're working with the youth in the community about the harmful effects of vaping, tobacco, marijuana use, and fentanyl.
Nice, thank you so much for sharing, Deborah. And what area is this in California?
It's not San Diego County, Oceanside, Vista, St. Marcos, Encinitas, Carlsbad, in those areas.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing. One more, and then I'm going to pass it to Patty to lead us in our next activity here. Go ahead, Albert.
Yeah, oh, let me turn. Oh, sorry, something like. Hey, good morning. Our project really is working with young people around schools. So really looking at creating safe places around the school. So a major issue that we have identified and we've mentioned is really a smoke shops operating as pseudo dispensaries. So what we're finding a lot of these places close, especially the ones close to schools, are selling the Delta-8 edibles and a lot of questionable products, nitrous oxide. So that on top of, too many liquor stores. So really getting young people to really engage their community and their peers around these, what we call risk settings. So it's definitely something that we're really seeing as a major problem.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that. And good luck with that. Now I'm gonna pass it to Patty, and thank you all so much for participating in this activity and for sharing with us all your leadership qualities and the qualities that you think are in a leader.
Cool. Thanks so much, Monte. What's up, everybody? It's so good to see you. It's 11:26, about to be lunchtime. So I hope you have some lunch plans getting ready. We're really thrilled to be here with you. And I think in our last session here that Monse just led, you know, there is really huge opportunities for us to be building across communities and sharing model policies, sharing some of the work that we're doing to not only inspire each other, but also to not recreate the wheel. You know, so many times in youth development work, right, we tend to recreate the wheel or start from scratch. And sometimes that's necessary. And in this moment in time, given everybody's, I don't know about you, the exhaustion, the stress, the times we're living in, sometimes it's actually really helpful to learn from each other and build with each other. And as we collect different model policies or things that have been out there, they're really just a stepping stone to doing the work that you do in your community. So we'll be trying to do that along our training series to give you those examples. Again, you can always remix an example. It's like making a meal. You know, you can, different cooks will add different ingredients to that, but at least we have some base to work off of. So we'll be doing that throughout our time together. But my section here is really just getting you kind of more dialed in and connected to your leadership style. It has, you have a leadership style, whether you have articulated or not yet. We wanted to offer this up as an opportunity to really better understand yourself and those that you're working with. You can take this activity to your team if you think it's helpful and beneficial to you, and really promote the appreciation of who you are as a leader, to really identify some of your differences and strengths, and to really foster self-awareness. Sometimes it's really, we're operating and we're going, and sometimes we need to kind of just take a step back and consider a few things. This is one way to assess your leadership style, not the only way, right? Many of you already are using different things in your communities. I encourage you to do that. And we thought we'd share this one with you as an opportunity. If you're connected to your like horoscope, and that's how you vibe, and you're like, I'm a Pisces like me, I know what I'm bringing to the table as a Pisces. I know the energy. You know, that is also another way to connect. But today we'll talk about true colors. So let's move forward in this slide. Thank you. Cool. So we're about to drop something in the chat, which is this actual PDF document. And what you're going to do, so the directions are, you're going to complete it from left to right. So that first column, active, opportunistic, spontaneous, parental, traditional, responsible, authentic, harmonious, compassionate, versatile, competent, inventive. You're going to rate that row with 4 being the most like you, based on what you know about yourself, 3 being the second most likely, 2 being the third most likely, and 1 being the least like you. So you're going to do that across, and you're going to complete that. And then you're going to add your actual columns. So you're going to go left to right, 4, 3, 2, 1, with 4 being the most like you, 1 being the least like you. And if it's hard to print out the PDF, it's all good. You can even just take a look at this right now and do the numbers on a piece of paper if you're not able to access the PDF for any reason. So we'll keep this up. I'm going to ask Yante to play some tunes because we're going to do this before you break up into pairs with somebody else and talk about what you learned about your colors and what you're seeing out there. So I'm going to give you some tunes. This is one opportunity, not the only opportunity to think about your leadership. And we're going to invite you to complete this. So left to right, and then add your columns. Any questions? Okay, good. We got some music playing. Thanks, Yante. I appreciate you. We're going to give you about like 4 minutes to do this. And don't overthink it, right? If you're like, I don't know about these words, just go with your gut instinct and tap into that. Oh, that was a natural fade out. Thanks, Yante. I appreciate it. So you have probably completed this assessment. Again, it is one way, not the only way. And I would love to know what your colors are, but we're going to move forward a slide just to see where you landed. Give us a chat if you ended up in the orange. Maybe that was the highest number that you had. So you are kind of an orange. Give us some thumbs up. How many orange folks are out there? Oh, a few. We have a few. All right. We see you. How about some gold folks? Get some gold folks out there. You got a thumbs up on that? Oh, we have a few. Okay, okay. How about green? How about green? Okay, we got some folks with the green. Oh, okay, cool. Team orange over here. And how about blue? Great, we got some blue hearts up. Okay, so orange, again, like real quick, you know, this is not the only words, right? This is one way to just kind of think about your leadership style, with the orange being witty, charming, spontaneous, impulsive, generous, impactful. You got blue, we have some enthusiasm, sympathetic, personal, warm, communicative. Gold, that loyal, dependable, prepared, sensible, punctual. With green being analytical, conceptual, cool, calm, collected. So everybody, and sometimes you have multiple colors, right? If you had a split, it's all good. If you're like, half my number was in orange and half of my number was in gold, that's cool. So we're gonna invite you to, we're gonna break up into pairs. And what you're gonna do in your pair is talk to somebody else. So you get to connect with somebody from across the state and talk about your leadership style and what rang true for you as you did this. If you were like, damn, orange is really me. Or actually, I don't really connect with that. And this is how I describe my leadership style, right? Because there's many ways to think about it. So talk to your pair about the color that you landed on, what connected with you, and what did not connect with you. It's all good. We welcome that, right? And that's what you're going to do in breakout rooms. And I know Elaine is going to set us up in breakout rooms. So we're going to make sure that you can do that. Elaine, give me a thumbs up if you're good on that. Okay, I got you then. You know, sometimes we gotta just do it. All right, so while I'm breaking these out, think about that color, what resonated with you, and what did not. Let's see. All right, cool. You may be in a duo, you might be in a trio. It's like a surprise, you'll never know. So we're gonna open up the rooms, invite you to meet somebody, say hello, talk about your color, what resonated with you, what did not resonate with you. And we'll give you about 5 to 6 minutes to do that in your group. So we'll broadcast the message to you that you do that. So enjoy your time with your partner, talk about your leadership style, what resonated with you, what did not. And we'll bring you back in about 5 to 6 minutes. Awesome, welcome back. Feel free to mute yourself. You were just chatting with somebody new. I hope you got to connect. I'm gonna ask you to mute yourself if you're not speaking. That would be most helpful. Thank you all for coming back. Let me just be accountable here and just say that breakout room was a bit of a fiasco. So if you were alone, I apologize. I hope you reconnected with somebody. And I hope, yeah, next time I was doing too much there with doing the breakout rooms and trying to get you connected. So I hope you had some lovely conversations though, and were able to connect with somebody. And if not, you were able to reflect on your leadership. And so curious, maybe we can hear from one person that was in a breakout room. How'd that go for you? What'd you hear about your colors? Anything that resonated with you about your colors? Maybe let's hear from 1 or 2 people.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is Latasha Washington. I am a project manager with PATHS, which is Pathways and Achievement for Total Health and Students, But anyway, I was speaking, Shauna and I were in a breakout room together, and he scored green and I scored orange, and we talked about the differences in our skill traits and how orange really did resonate with me because one of the skills had troubleshooting, and I am a person who confronts conflict, and I think that skill is actually really important, especially for those who like to run for conflict. Most people do like to run for conflict, but I like to face it head on. And I really did like, not to speak for Sean, but I really did like his skill set where he is more of a laid back person and pay attention to detail, because I'm more of a big picture thinker. And so someone who pay attention to detail, I really do like that because they correct some of the mistakes that I make that I may have overlooked. So I thought that him and I had a really good conversation on how, you know, our personalities will really work really well together.
That's what's up. Thank you so much for sharing, Latasha. And sometimes like all of these skills are valuable, right? That we each bring and contribute to a team. And sometimes it's just kind of nice to have a reference point. True Colors does that in that if you did this with your team and you realize, let's just say that, you know, 5 of you are gold, it might be challenging actually to kind of need other different colors and other skill sets to come to bear in the work that you do. So we invite you to do that. Maybe let's hear from one more pair or trio on like, what worked for you in that and maybe what didn't resonate for you. We want to welcome that too. Well, we want to invite, maybe somebody hasn't spoken to yet today. We want to invite you in.
I'll go ahead and say that, first of all, my name is Monica. You can hear me, right?
You can.
I work with New Birth Community Development out of Stockton, California. I'm the program coordinator here. I was at first having a hard time breaking down the scores. I was like, first I went and like circled all of the individual like traits, the ones that I like related to the most. And then my team member, he helped me out with that. I believe I was with Vincent. But I scored blue and he did as well. And we just briefly at the end were able to, you know, share that commonality. And it's funny, Patty, that you say you're a Pisces because I am too. And so I think the affectionate, the warmth, it makes sense. And reading, you know, the description of, you know, people that attested more to the blue traits, it matches with me. And then orange was second for me. So that makes sense as well, because in some ways I am like humorous and kind of what's the word, spontaneous. And I believe that also I bring a my own what's the word that I'm looking for, my own vibe kind of to my leadership quality with humor and spontaneity. I bring a different quality than the other leaders. And I think that that kind of helps with the balance, having the different personality traits and having the ability to contribute my specific skill set and then also my personality traits, which is, I like this exercise, and hopefully we have permission to use this with our teams as well, because I would love to bring this as either a team building exercise or something to even do with our mentees, because we have a youth program that's called Journey Mentoring Program, where we bring students ages 10 to 18, we break them off into, you know, their respective groups, and we have meaningful conversations about life. We do interactive activities, and I think this will be a really good one for our kids too.
Yeah, right on. Thanks so much for sharing, Monica. And, you know, we've been talking about maybe remixing these colors and adding a little fuchsia or something else that's bold. So we might do that. If you have some ideas on that, drop us a link and drop us some thoughts. And you can use this, you have permission to use it with your teams, with young people. It's really just about talking about who we are as leaders. It's about getting that out and that acknowledgement, and also about connecting to something. Sometimes, you know, if folks ask you, what are your top skills? They're not always sort of top of mind. You don't have them kind of in the background, but this is a tool to help you identify those, think those through, and to also break this apart, right? Maybe some of these words are not as resonant, but there's other words that really resonate with you as a leader. So we ask you to take this as you think about developing youth leadership and youth power. Half of it is about understanding ourselves and what we're bringing to the table, our beautiful, authentic, most generous, gracious selves to the table. And we offer this up. And if we remix the colors, we'll let you know, and we'll send these materials out following this training. Awesome. Way to go. let's move on to not the next slide, but the slide after. Beautiful. So I'm going to close this out here. We got a solid 7 minutes together. So we're going to use every minute we got. Today, we talked about youth power, youth leadership and advocacy. You all are doing that work already. Let's just be really clear. Today is about hopefully strengthening, getting tighter on your practice, bringing some of these tools to the work that you are already doing, and ensuring that young people are at that table of change. We explored qualities and skills of effective leaders, and we have to break this down together with your teams, with your young people, and really be able to model what it means to present non-Western qualities and skills that really help resonate with our young folks. We use this True Colors Leadership Assessment as one way to think about who we are as leaders and what we bring to bear to the table. And we feel free to remix and take it on tour with your young folks and your communities. And you explored your leadership and got to chat with each other. So we're thrilled about that and this time with you. We have a couple things here that are coming up. So first things first, we'll move the slide over. And boom, shakalaka, here comes the training evaluation. You know how we roll. We're going to give it to you now when you have the time and space to complete it. So you could do it via QR code. If I don't always do, I don't like, wait, what's happening? What's a QR code? But if you're like me and you need the link, it is in the chat. So we want to give you the next 3 minutes to complete this. Should not take you that long. And Yante, if you could give us some tunes to this training evaluation. Once we complete that, we'll give you one more slide. Thank you and see you off onto your lunch and to your afternoon on this May 31st. Thanks for your constructive feedback, your honest feedback. We're here to make this space work for you. And you still got this link in your chat, and we're going to resend this. A few shout outs. Give it up for one time for Yante, Monse, Elaine, Cody, Fatima, Yami, all the folks in the background here that made this training possible. Way to go, way to be you, you're amazing. Shout out to the Elevate Youth team for giving us this opportunity, this platform to connect with you all and share our work and learn from you. And shout out to you for every single thing that you do on behalf of young people in service of young people. And I just really, really want to thank you and appreciate you. We got one more training coming up. We have a few more trainings actually coming up, but next week we have a training on June 7th. Elaine's going to hook us up and drop that link in the chat. If you're down to join us, we want to invite you to register, tell your folks, tell your people, tell your young people. If they're able to do this, to join us. It's about building youth and adult partnerships, about being in lockstep with each other, learning from each other, and creating systems change work in our community. So invite you to join us on that. You are amazing. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. You're thebomb.com. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do. And we're going to see you off and say goodbye. Be well out there. Be safe. Take care of you. Get some rest. Get some water. And enjoy your lunch. I hope it's delicious. I'm about to try to get some pho up in here because that makes me happy. But thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the constructive feedback. Appreciate you, appreciate you, appreciate you. Thanks. Peace, y'all. Bye. Have a good one. Cool. And folks are chatting us. We'll stay on for a few minutes after this in case you have any direct questions you have for us. Figured that might be a thing. We got you. Feel free to stay back and we can kick it, talk, if that works for you. That's what's up. We're looking forward to having you at the next one. You're awesome. Cassandra, thank you. Way to go. Way to be. I got to get one of those buttons, those right at the training button. I keep telling the team that because that's what we would do at the end of this. We'd be like, and everybody be like, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for being here. We'll stop the recording once we kick back with you momentarily, but in the meantime, we'll see you off. Thank you. Your energy's on point. Luce, way to go. Appreciate you. Pisces, represent, Monica. All the other signs are critically important. I just want to say that, give that caveat, like y'all are important, you're valuable. It's like the collectiveness of the signs matters. So just putting that out there. And Cody, we'll keep folks on just for a few minutes, just in case folks have any questions or any direct stuff that they want to chat about we'll just make a little space for that in case that's the case. And so we'll keep folks on. Cool. I'm going to stop recording now, if that's okay.